Welcome back to Writing with Authors. I am excited to deliver an episode with an author who has two books that can help level up any of your businesses. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and I am your host. Today's guest is a great guy. I had the opportunity to connect with him for one of my other podcast series. And then, as we've connected a few times, I learned all about his two books, From Myths to Money, your amazing itty bitty SCorp book, which is brand new as we record this show. So you're going to have fresh information from Joe himself. So allow me to now bring him on. Joe Dichiara. Joe, thank you for coming on.
Thank you, Vincent. It's my pleasure. I love talking about this stuff.
Yeah, my pleasure. Would you mind introducing yourself to this platform before we dive in and talk book talk?
Sure. I like to introduce myself as I am an entrepreneur that happens to have a CPA license. Okay, I've been doing this for over 35 years, working with small businesses. About 2 years ago, I pivoted and started working with brand new businesses, people that have no idea about business, people that are just getting into, they might be retiring or downsize. And there's a lot of people getting into business now and need the knowledge. They need the information. That's what I do. I'm a teacher.
You do a lot, Joe. You wear many hats. We're going to dive right in here and talk about your brand new book. Let's hear about it.
The Amazing Itty Bitty SCorp book is something that, when I started doing this, and when I say this is really, it's almost like a public service. It's a calling where I'm trying to find people that are getting into business and making mistakes. And one of the biggest mistakes that they make is they don't incorporate. They don't understand what an SCorp is. If you go on the internet and try to find out about an SCorp, you're not going to find the right information. And it's almost by design that they try to steer people away from being an S-corp or being a corporation. And a lot of people go and become LLCs. And I just explained to a new client, she wanted to be an LLC, and I explained that LLCs come with no tax status. An LLC is for legal protection, not for taxes. LLCs are not recognized by the IRS. So a friend of mine has this itty bitty publishing company, Susie Pruden, and I said, I need to get this information out there about what an S-corp is, why it's important, how it could save you a ton of money on taxes, how it's going to protect you from the IRS, and basically give you a better chance at success.
I love the opportunity you're presenting to everyone listening on, myself included, in SCorp. So now let's actually scale back, Joe, to book number one.
Book number one, From Myths to Money. I listened to direction. And about 10 years ago, I looked at my business and I wasn't too happy with it. I didn't know how to market. I really didn't know how to run a business, to be honest with you. And it's kind of sad because I'm a CPA with, at that time, over 25 years of experience. And I said, I'm doing something wrong here. My business isn't scaling. I mean, I always made a good profit. So, what do? You go to people that are smarter than you. You find people that know what you don't know. And I just happened to go to college and join the fraternity with my friend Craig Duswalt. And Craig toured with Guns N' Roses, Air Supply, and started a business on teaching people how to market themselves.
Love it.
Okay. So he invited me to his, he would have boot camps twice a year. He'd have like 500-600 people there. And one of his core trainings is to become an author.
Okay.
He's like, you got to become an author. So I said, okay, I'll write a book. and the rest is history. I thought I had something to say about why people fail, and people don't fail for the reasons that they think they do. And that's what's in the book. It's, people want to blame the economy or their circumstances, or, they don't have enough money. Like that's not how people become successful. Walt Disney was like evicted out of how many of his offices? He couldn't even pay his people. Okay, how did he become successful? Henry Ford. I mean, anybody that's ever been successful have overcome obstacles. And it really starts with mindset. And that's what Craig taught me. Is like, you got to change the way that you think about things. And so I wrote a book, and then I've actually written 3 books. I have an amazing itty bitty bookkeeping book, which is actually almost obsolete now because of technology. And I
When
don't
was
even,
that first book written?
that was what, this From Myths to Money?
The
This,
bookkeeping book.
that was about 6 years ago.
Craziness, huh?
Okay.
Just innovation and everything.
Well, and again, it's because, people didn't know what bookkeeping was. Okay. And they were doing things like on a spreadsheet. And I'm like, no, I'm just going to show you the basic bookkeeping steps. So if you're in business, I mean, I think you have to have some kind of knowledge about this stuff. You don't have to become a bookkeeper or a tax guy, you don't have to know debits and credits, but you have to know, you have to have some kind of knowledge of the inner workings of the business. And anybody that's successful, they'll tell you, you got to know your numbers. And most people are afraid of them. I just got off the phone with the client. She's like, I hate numbers. I get anxiety. I said, you don't have to know, you don't have to become an accountant, but I'm going to teach you what you need to look at. I'm going to tell you what you should be asking me. Okay. Those are the things that are in these books. These are the questions you should be asking your accountant.
And even through all the schooling and everything, these are still areas that fall through the gaps of why aren't they taught? I'm sure they may be now, but when I was in high school, we didn't learn how to use a debit card or a budget or, little things, even write a check. These are things that life skills like this. If you're in business, you need to know the difference between an SCorp, CCorp, LLC, sole proprietor.
Why don't they teach kids how to do bank recs in school? You know how important a bank rec is? It's like the simplest bookkeeping control that there is. And if you don't know how to balance your checkbook, or at least have an idea of how it works, you're at a disadvantage. When people go into business, they are at a distinct disadvantage. When new business owners start out and they don't know what they don't know, it's tough. And books are a great way to pass along information.
I agree with you, Joe. Giving a lot of great advice today. Be sure to stick around to the end to find out how to find these books. If you're new to business, these might be some great books to pick up. And now we're going to ask Joe, over these 3 books, what his 2 best pieces of advice are for everyone watching on today.
If you're going into business, it takes time. You got to be persistent. You got to be consistent. You got to just keep going at it. You need tenacity. Going into business is not for the thin-skinned. Okay, it's going to be tough. And if you think it's going to be easy, then maybe you should keep your day job. Okay, so I try to scare people out of going into business sometimes. If I don't think that they're ready for it, I'll tell them this is going to be nearly impossible.
At least you're keeping it honest. That's what I like my guests to do, no matter what the advice is from. This is what you need to hear, and this will help you succeed by watching this show. Now on the writing side, Joe, what's a piece of writing advice for all these aspiring writers?
Just write. Just write. The funny thing is you could write on Post-its. There is no system. So my friend Craig has a system. He actually does his on Post-its. He'll put it, oh, that's a chapter. And that little Post-it, he puts a bunch of Post-its on a wall, and eventually it becomes a book. And if you have something to say, then say it. I don't know what else, you just got to write. You just got to write, and you can't even plan it. You can't say, oh, at 10 o'clock in the morning, I'm going to get up and write. I don't know what it is. It's just inspiration. And you don't even have to publish it. Okay. Write it for yourself. Write it for yourself. And then maybe you want to publish it.
I get spurts of energy too while I'm writing. I don't have a set time. It's just I'm writing until I don't want to write anymore, until I don't feel it. Would you mind now please taking the time to share everyone how they can find these books, how they can reach out to you?
Yeah, all of these books are available on Amazon. Just look me up, go to Joe Dichiara in Amazon, and they'll come up. That's easy.
Well, I appreciate you coming on, Joe. And for everyone who enjoyed what he spoke about today, be sure to check out his books. There's a lot of value in there to help you succeed in any endeavor you have. And with that, Joe, I want to thank you one more time for taking time to join this community of writers. To all those viewing and listening on, thank you for joining, and we will see you for the next episode of Writing with Authors.